Google Educator Group of South Texas. GEG.SOUTX.US.
All right. Hey, twice. Welcome to everyone for joining us today in our session for Learn. So we're opening up with a big laugh because it's my turn to host for our GEG today. And you know, it's funny because I forgot to hit go live. Isn't that so funny? It's funny, but you know, it's kind of what Mr. G was just telling me before we came on. The whole purpose of Learn is to actually learn. And so I am learning myself. I'm just like you all. And today I get to be in the background, kind of producing for our person that's going to be bringing your Learn session for today. And that person is Mr. G. But before I release the floor to him, let me tell you who I am. My name is Maggie Ojeda, and I'm a Google certified trainer, and I am a member of the GEG of South Texas. And here today, I have our leader actually from our GEG, but I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself, and then he'll turn the floor back over to me, and then I'll give it back over to him. So go for it, Carlos.
Hello, Mr. G. The G is not for Google, but it fits. I am a Google for Education certified trainer, among other things. And as you mentioned, GEG leader for South Texas. And Maggie, I can say that you're not just a member, you are one of the captains, a co-leader of GEG South Texas.
Thank you so much. It's just that we're just starting out, and I appreciate all the hard work that Carlos Garza has done for our area, for our educators, and revived our GEG. It was actually one of the first GEGs to get back on the map after it had kind of come down a little. So he's been working with branding us and reviving what we have here in South Texas. The Rio Grande Valley is a very strong force to be reckoned with when it comes to ed tech. Our people here in South Texas are passionate about the use of technology to address teaching and learning, which actually comes at a very important time in our life right now, as we know, as we head into 2020 and 2021 with the unknowns of online learning. So how better to deal with remote instruction than with the use of Google Apps? And so Mr. G is here today hosting for us websites for your organization is his session. And he's going to teach us a little bit about creating a website from Google websites and Google domains. So I'm really interested to learn from you today, Carlos. And the floor is all yours, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you. Just wanted to mention that I'm wearing a yellow shirt that says Google for Education. And I'm guessing so are you.
Yes, I am. Looky here. I am wearing the Google for Education shirt, just like you. And I was sharing earlier that in 2015 was the first time I ever saw this shirt. And this gentleman named Nick Kusomo, I think I'm saying his name correctly, was the first Google certified trainer I saw at the ISTE conference, the global conference. He was a theater arts teacher from, I want to say he's from New York. And I said to myself, I hope to have one of those shirts one day. And here we are 5 years later, and I have one, and then you're wearing yours too, Carlos. So I think
That
it's
is
awesome. Yes, sir.
All right. So let's start. I'm going to be talking about how to create a Google site for an organization. And this can be an organization like a small business or a nonprofit. Normally, what we think about nonprofits are usually like a church or anybody that is dealing with the poverty, like the food bank, for example. So here's a really simple way to create a website for a small business and other organizations. Now, this can work also for a school. However, in a school setting, it's best if you use your G Suite for Education account and not this method. But alternately, if you are a teacher and if you want to start doing something like what we do, I have my own podcast. So I create my own podcast. I have my podcast website. So if you want to do something like that, this will help you. Okay. So how to create a Google site. Now, I'm going to go a little fast in the beginning because this session is recorded, and you can always go back and look at it at the recording to go step by step. But I want to get to the main part as to not just how to purchase the website, or how to purchase the domain, but also how to build the website. All right. So first thing that I want to do is go to domains.google. That's it. Domains.google. And that's actually the website you have to type, domains.google. Nothing much more to it. You're going to notice right here that I have this section called My Domains. And the main part that we're going to look into is this search option. All right, we're going to move on. And I'm going to make an example as to what is your organization about. Let's say that your organization is about adult education, and the name of your business is Cornerstone. One of the first things that you want to search for is to see if cornerstone.com is available. More than likely, it will be taken. Something as common as Cornerstone, and let's say the name of your business is Cornerstone Adult Education. Cornerstone.com is more than likely already taken. And more than likely other TLDs like .org, .net, and .us are also taken. TLD stands for top level domain. So in the case of google.com, Google is the domain and .com is the TLD. There are a variety of TLDs, for example, .agency and .store. But because the word Cornerstone is so common, it's a premium name. In this case, buying Cornerstone.store will cost you $2,700 a year. Now, depending on the business, you may be able to afford this or not. But if you're a teacher like me, this is not something I can afford. So what I'm going to do is I need to find a different TLD. And the different TLD can be something like .1. Okay, so Cornerstone notice how the domain name hack right here is. It's cornerst.1, cornerstone. And this is a common hack that you can create. In this case, it's available, but it's $1,000 a year. This is something that I probably wouldn't be able to afford either. So what I'm going to do next is, if you notice on the right hand side, there's this settings option. I want to do a little more domain name hacking. One of the things that I want to show you right here is, what if I can call it core.ner.st or core.nerst.1 or cornerstone for short. I'm going to click on this button on the right hand side, and I'm only going to show available domains. I don't want to see domains that are not available. I want to show all endings to be able to find it. And I want to be able to have a specific price range. Okay, so another thing that I can do is sort by price. That way, the price range is first with the more affordable ones, and then with whatever else is available. So if there's one that I like, but it's a little more expensive, I can probably still afford it. So the idea here is that I got an exact match. Right here, I have nursed.org for $12 a year. I mean, compared to $1,000 a year, this is almost nothing. So my goal here is to have it core.nursed.own, core nursed own, and it'll look something like this. The TLD is own, the domain is nursed, and the subdomain is core. So core.nursed.own. To be able to do something like this, I need to redirect the naked domain, nursed.own, and the subdomain, www, to core.nursed.own. An awesome one that works for this is GEG-SOUTX.us. If I type, for example, SOUTX.us, it'll take me to GEG.SOUTX.us. If I type www.soutx.us, it'll take me to GEG.SOUTX.us. So this is a simple something that will make it so much better, and it'll redirect back to the actual website. This is important because some people may want to actually type in the wrong stuff because they're just so used to www, and it'll redirect it to the actual website itself. If I type, however, learn.soutx.us, it'll take me to the Learn website. Now, I don't know about you, but core.nursed.one is the perfect name, but it's just the wrong website. I'm going to advise that in the future that you do join in, that you first look for a domain name for your business. Okay, so a domain name for your business. And then name your business after you got that domain. Okay, so I hope this makes sense, because what if your name is Cornerstone Adult Education, but what if you're change your slogan to Adulting Ninja? Cornerstone Adult Education. We are the Adulting Ninjas. There is a domain name for that, adulting.ninja. And as opposed to the $12 a year, this one is $19 a year. It's a few dollars more expensive, but for a year's worth, it's not that big of a difference.
So I have a question, Mr. G.
Yes.
So if I have a business or even a nonprofit organization, we could go in, purchase the domain, but based on like what determines if it's a cheaper domain, like the one you just showed us, versus the $19 one? Like
okay,
the main difference.
There's two factors here. I'm going to go to domains.google. Primary factor is going to be, is it a prime name? For example, Cornerstone, it's going to be one of the most expensive ones out there. There's going to be others out there that are going to be expensive. But the second factor is going to be the TLD, the top level domain.
Top level domain.
Yes. So I'm going to search, for example, adulting. I'm just going to type adulting. And whenever I get the results, I'm going to go to this. I'm going to click on all endings first, and then I'm going to narrow it down to show available names only. and I'm gonna leave the price limit open. So I'm gonna apply.
You got a lot of money to spend on domains, Carlos. I would have
I
said
wish.
free.
I wish. Okay, so notice how relevance. I'm gonna start with price.
Okay.
So notice that this is not a prime name. Adulting is not a prime name. So .in, I selected it. Oh, here we go. It already refreshed. So .pw, it's a $9 a year fee. FR, which is France. And then there's something like pictures.business. But if I scroll down and I keep scrolling down, you're going to notice that you start seeing $30, $40, $50. And those are like, let's see, CEO, adulting CEO. That's $100 a year. I don't think you want to be the adulting CEO. And realty is one of the most expensive ones. If you're going to be selling realty and you want that TLD, you better have a really good realty business because that's $350 a year. And if you remember correctly, when I started with Cornerstone, and some of the available ones are going to be okay, but this one's a premium one, cornerstone.icu. It's only an extra $6. But there's some premium domains like this one, still $6. Here's another one, .how, 46. And I want to go to the very, very last one, which .uno, .store, those are the ones that I was talking about earlier, .science, .art, those are like $1,000 a year type of, because of the TLD and the domain name Cornerstone. Somehow a combination of the both makes it premium.
Okay. Thank you very much for that explanation.
You're welcome. So we're not going to go with $1,000 worth of domain name. We're just going to go with a.
The question maybe that I would have is because we're Google for Educators and Education. So when our districts get the edu domain, it's the top level domain is the edu part.
Okay. So for a school, I would suggest something like
or a charter, like maybe a charter school or another type of school. Well, those are Google for Education. So
the TLD is not going to matter
okay.
with Google. With Google, if you're a school, the only thing you got to do is apply.
Yes.
And I mean, my school, for example, or my district is ljisd.com. .com stands for commercial, but we're not a commercial business. We're an educational. So I would suggest something like LJISD if you can, or I'll leave it at that. But there's several, or there's two that I can think of. I'm going to sort it by name so that I can find it a little faster. And it does take a while for this to repopulate. But one of the ones that I like is .academy. And the other one would be, where is it? There it is, .academy. That's the first one right there, ljsd.academy. From there, you can look at the several ones that there are available. But another one that I like, I believe I think I already passed it. There should be one called .education, unless it's already taken. Here it is, .education.
Oh, that's good. And that's only $20 a year. I've seen like in our regional area .com, .us, .net, .edu. Those are pretty much the domains that I've seen in our area.
Yes, but you want to make sure that you are a school. So I would suggest something else like .school. Now, these are available to anyone. So if you want to do an adult education type of institution, like Cornerstone Adult Education, you could say adulting.school. This
Got
one's a little more expensive. It's $40 a year, but in the long run, for a whole year, it's almost nothing.
That's fantastic.
So once you're ready to pay, some will allow for privacy protection, not all, and they will allow for auto renew. So this is on a yearly basis. You have to pay every year. And if you don't pay, then it goes out and somebody else can purchase it. So keep that in mind. Contact information. Remember that you have privacy protection, but you want to turn that privacy protection off and use your business, or if it's a school, your school information in this case. Once you're ready to pay, then it's going to take a while. It's not going to be instantaneous. It might take about a day, maybe 2 days at the most, but it should take about a few hours before you can start using it. For that reason, I have this one that I was going to get rid of. There's always something I want to do. There's always a project that I have in mind. And the first thing I do is purchase the domain for that project. If it hits, great. If it doesn't hit, oh well. For example, I bought domain names for my daughters. One under my daughter's name. Well, one for each daughter under their name, since it's going to be important for them to have a website in the future. Okay.
I think that's a great idea, especially we are seeing a lot of building up your portfolios for the like Gear Up programs and some of the other college and career readiness programs that they're getting the kids to build a portfolio. So it's a great idea to propose this. Maybe we're going to have somebody that watches this video later, since it's going to be saved on our archive. So I think that's a great idea that you just gave there, Carlos, for educators that are working with kids that are building up portfolios.
Yeah, and as soon as either of them know how to use it, that'll be their birthday gift.
That's awesome.
Okay, so moving on, I'm going to use impromptu.education, and this is going to be the one I'm going to be using to demo what I want to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is, after I click on my domains, I'm going to click on manage right here, manage. And then I'm going to click where it says DNS, or domain name server. This is what it's going to make my website work. It's going to give me a lot of information here. Remember, I talked about privacy protection. If you have your school information or your business information here, then you should turn this off. Another few things that you're going to see is the domain lock and transfer out. These two have something to do with if you need to transfer your domains to a different server, but more than likely you shouldn't do this. You should not transfer your domains away from anywhere. During the process of transferring, somebody else can get it. One of the main things here that I want to be sure about is that if it's on auto renew, that's because you're not sure if your business is going to succeed. So I would suggest add several years if you know that your business is stable and you will succeed. Turn this one on, the DNS security. Make sure it's enabled. Right now, for example, in this example, it's off. So I need to click on this to turn it on. And it should take a few hours. It doesn't take that long to turn it on. I understand that a few hours or a few minutes may sound like a lot of time, but yes, it is a lot of time. And in the long run, it's a small portion of time. All right, so let's go live and start looking as to how to create a website. One of the first things I'm going to go to is sites.google.com. Notice that it says /new. There's an older version, and if I click on the bottom left, it says back to classic sites. And this one is not that great looking. So I'm not even going to show you. I'm just going to go to .new. Or even if you're here on the left-hand side, you're going to notice that it says new Google Sites. Now, you're going to have some templates here to work with, but I'm going to start with a blank one just to be quick and simple about this. And I need to give it a name. So impromptu education. Oh, imprompted. That was the idea, imprompted. So it's like impromptu, but for educational purposes. All right. I'm just going to leave it basic like that. Before I even begin to start building my website, I need to link it to my domain. And for this, what I need to do is on the top right, there's this little, what I call a curler donut or a gear icon. I'm going to click on that. And then there's this section called custom URL. This is the one that I'm going to need. Notice that it says your domain. Now you need to start with a subdomain. So something like www. It's very common. Dot imprompt dot education. Now it says right here, this URL is not verified. Click verify ownership. I need to click on this, and it's going to tell me that I need to do some registration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here and look for Google domains. It's going to tell me to add a TXT, and I know I'm getting technical here, but if you just follow the steps as I'm telling you, it'll work out. Okay, so it's asking me to add a TXT on my DNS configuration. What I need to do is this. I copy. And for this part, Maggie, I'm going to have to stop sharing my screen and share it again. So if you can help me with that.
You're in the middle of adding that text file into the DNS server.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So I need to go scroll down all the way down to where it says custom resource record. This is where I need to add that text DNS configuration. Custom resource record. And I'm doing www. And I'm supposed to add a text, TXT. So I click here, I scroll down until I found text. And then this is where I paste the text. And I click add. Now, if I try right now to make it work, it will not work. It will not work. So I'm going to try to verify just to try it out. And it tells me verification failed. It does not mean that it's not working. It just means that it takes time to propagate. Okay, so meanwhile, I'm going to click here where it says learn more. Okay, so if you remember, we're trying to verify this one. But right now, because we cannot do this, we're going to go to the next section that says learn more. So in learn more, what it's telling you is how to add how to add your domain to your Google site. I'm going to scroll down until I find the information about the custom URL. So step 1, it gives you check that you own your URL. That's what we're doing right now. Step 2 tells you update your host site. We're on step 2. Check number 4. It gives you a website right here. Number 4 gives you a website. This is the website that we're going to need. It tells you go to your domain, create a CNAME entry, and copy this. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to this right here, and I'm going to type this @ symbol. I'm going to change it to www. Now, this is going to give me a failure, but either way, let's try it. It says CNAME, and then I'm going to paste it. That's all I got to do. Now, if when I try to add it, it's going to tell me that there's an error. There's a name conflict because there's a text record right now of me trying to add this. So that means that I still need to verify it before I even start trying to connect it, which is okay. Now let's try to verify ownership. See if it works now. Awesome. After a few minutes, it works. Now that I have verified this, when I type .education, it'll say, I'm ready, assign. Okay, I'm assigning it. All right, so I know I'm going back and forth, but in order for this to work, I need to go back and forth. Now that I have verified it, I need to delete this text record. So I'm going to select delete. Now that I have deleted, there will be no name conflict and I can add. All right, now that I have added this, if I go to, what is it? Imprompted. So if I go to imprompt.education, it's telling me that there's nothing. Maybe because it needs www.imprompt.education. Still not doing anything. So what I'm going to do here is something called, and this is not going to, probably it's not going to be, let me check real quick. I already closed it either way. Okay, so this is probably something that it's not going to give you much information, but it's something called domain forwarding. And you're probably not going to know this, and nobody's going to tell you about this unless you're actually watching this video right now, or you already know about this. Here, I'm going to do the @ symbol. I'm going to make it permanent, forward path, and enable SSL. So all the bottom ones. If you watch this in the future, just keep in mind permanent, forward, enable. And I'm going to type www.imprompt, or actually, I'm just going to copy and paste. Copy, paste. Need to make sure that there are no spaces, or that could mess it up. And add. And notice right here that there's an error. It just means that the SSL is not available yet. It's just going to take up to 24 hours for this to complete, which is okay. Now, when I go to imprompt.education, it should take me to www. There it is, www.imprompt.education. So it works now. Perfect. Now, it's still giving me an error because it's taking a while for all the background information. Notice that it says up to 24 hours. It could take 24 hours. So if you don't...
Carlos, I also saw up at the top that it said 48 hours earlier, right when you made that change, the redirect change.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, so 24 to 48 hours. But I'm hoping that it'll take just a few minutes. Plus, another thing that I haven't done, and this is very important, is that I haven't published yet. Publish. Imprompt. So it'll say that whenever I do imprompted, it'll take me to imprompt.education. And notice that it's asking me to create a website under sites.google.com. So I'll have two websites that'll take me to the same thing. This one I can see it right away. This one I don't know if it works yet. You can also add other permissions as to who can view the site. But right now I'm going to leave it at anyone, because that's the whole point. So I'm going to publish, and I can view the site. Now, this is the ugly URL method, but let's see if it works already. Nope, not yet. So it's still processing. In either case, we still have a lot of work to do. And there's several things that you may want to look into, but a few things that I want you to look into is this settings icon. Remember earlier we did custom URL. Now we can start from the top. How do you want it to look? On the top or on the side? Where's your menu? Where's your navigation bar? What color is the navigation bar? Is it transparent, white, black? Your brand, your icons. Usually, are you going to use the same logo and the same icon for your fave icon and your logo? So I'm going to use, and ask you what kind of color do you want to use? Actually, I want to use this green. And I'm going to upload another one. It's about the same thing. All right. And what do these do? The logo, it's going to appear on the left-hand side. The fave icon is going to appear over here at the very top where that little square is. When it gets published, that's where it will be. Viewer tools, it'll give you information right there. Analytics, if you're into Google Analytics, then you know what to do there. If not, don't worry about it. Here's an important one. Show banner. If I turn this on, put it on red, and say, due to COVID-19, we are only serving online. Example. If they want more information, you can create a button, more info, and then add the URL. Currently, I don't have any web pages to add, but we don't need a button. And you can homepage only or on all pages. So it just depends, because this is such an important event, the COVID-19, I would probably put it on all pages. And that's it. I would close it and notice how it's up there now. Okay, so themes, I'll let you explore themes. I'll let you explore what you can insert. Most of it is fairly simple and it's somewhat obvious. And the last one is pages. Pages, there's two things you can add, either a new page or a link. So for example, if you want a link to your Twitter, I would create a link and type https://twitter.com/edugoogroid, and the name I just put Twitter. So now you see your home and your Twitter. All right, now I need to publish. Let's see how it looks. So this is the before, this is the after. I don't have anything else in there. And notice this little 3 bars, home and Twitter. I'm going to publish. And that's it. I just need to check it out to see how it looks. I like how it looks. And I click over here, it'll take me to my Twitter. If I click over here, it'll take me back home, depending on how many pages you have. Let's see if it works now. It still doesn't work. Okay. So I'll leave it there in prompt.education. So I'll leave it there. I was hoping that it would work already. According to my records here, it should be working maybe. Let me refresh this page just to verify. And it doesn't give me that warning anymore. And everything looks okay in prompt.education. So everything looks okay. Now, another thing that could be going on is something called cache. You might need to clear your history or your cache. So I'm going to go into incognito window and see if it's working there yet. And it's not working. That means it's not ready yet. But before we close, I'm going to check one more time. As of right now, that is all I have. thank you, Maggie, for
That was extremely informative. And while I was watching, I didn't even want to interrupt because it's a process and you're taking us step by step by step. I actually have found myself doing this. I was helping a friend, actually their family member, connect their company domain. So I was familiar with CNAME and DNS, and it's very procedural. And I mean, I really appreciate the look because I was using another domain. I was using GoDaddy, but the cost here in the Google domains just seem like they're a lot more reasonable, and you get a lot more variety. And so, especially if you're going to be like a Google for Business or even Google for Nonprofit, purchasing a Google domain just kind of seems like the right step, moving forward. And you were talking earlier about your daughters, how you had already purchased their Google domain, and a lot of our districts are beginning and already going to be using Google Classroom, and so a lot of the children that we're raising up today in our K through 12 are going to come out as Google users, right? And so in the future, I mean, I see them they're going to run the businesses and the nonprofits, and most like right now, the popular tool for business is Microsoft Office 365. But eventually the children that are in our classes right now are going to be in those roles. So if I was using Google Classroom since I was in second grade, then now I'm running this, bank, and I have to purchase an app suite for my company to run on. More than likely, I'm going to end up picking Google. It just seems like the free isn't really free. They really had something in mind. They're raising up our next generation in Google. Yeah, for sure. Well, Mr. G, it was awesome to have you and to learn from you today with Google domains and also creating the site. We are coming live to you from our learn.southtexas.us initiative that we have started with our GEG of South Texas. I want to thank you all for joining us, and we want to thank a shout out to Dina, who is out there today joining us today, and she did mention earlier, Mr. G, that at their district, PSJA is using Google Sites to host the reading programs, the summer reading programs. And so they're familiar with the building of Google Sites, but I bet they're thinking just like me, how interesting that we learned the backside of it and how to build it. So thank you, Mr. G, for sharing your knowledge today. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for learning with us today. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
I want to mention one more thing. I'm sorry.
Yes, absolutely.
It works already. Just when you say we gotta go.
Let me see it. Let's see it. Show it, because we can't leave without the finale.
So yeah, now it works. Put www.
That's fantastic. I see it. We see it. It looks great. Thank you so much, Carlos, for showing us the finale. And I'm glad it worked before we left today. we knew it was gonna work, but I was gonna be checking anyway all night. I'm like, is it working now? Is it working now? Because we're gonna be, a ver si es cierto. It's true. Thank you so much, Carlos, and thank you all for joining us today. Bye. We'll see you next time. I think next time I might take the plunge. All right. So we'll see y'all next time. Bye, everyone.
Google Educator Group of South Texas. GEG.SOUTX.US.